Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Truffle Hunter and Professor Trent, and we are here to talk about Judaism. So, this is our first recorded lecture, so bear with me. I'm a little nervous. I'm glad Truffle Hunter is here with me, and we're going to talk about chapter 11. Okay? I'm going to make this really brief because I can always add more video content. I don't want to bore you. And so I want to start with our three big questions. So ultimate reality, way of life, ultimate purpose. I'm going to run through those very, very quickly, and then I have a few things that I want to talk to you about specific to way of life. So let's open our books to page, Truffle Hunter's on my book, 362. If you have your world religions book, it's 362. Ultimate reality in Judaism is what's called ethical monotheism. So one God, belief in one God, but we add the word ethical because there is a particular way of life described or prescribed by this manifestation of God, which is revealed in the Tanakh. Tanakh, you've seen that in your book. It is an acronym for Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. Those are the sacred texts of Jewish practitioners, and they are all written in Hebrew, okay? All right, I make that distinction because what you know as the New Testament is written in Greek. So that's the difference between the two of them. A lot of differences, but the first is language, all right? And I'm so upset because my Hebrew Old Testament and my Greek New Testament is at school, so I can't show it to you. And all of my fun stuff is also at school. So all I have is my book and the cat. So we'll do our best. So ultimate reality, I'm on page 362 of your World Religions textbook. Ethical monotheism, I'm going to let you read through what that means specifically. Way of life is directly tied to ethical monotheism because God is called Adonai. You'll see it in your textbook as Yahweh, but we don't typically say that word. And when I say we, I mean those religious scholars who are very particular about making sure that that word remains sacred. And we can talk a little bit more about why that is. But Adonai prescribes a particular way of being, and that is found in what you know as the Old Testament. There's also commentary on the Old Testament. That's on page 365. That's called the Talmud. In the Hebrew Old Testament, so in the Hebrew sacred scriptures, there are narratives, you know that word, and the narratives prescribe 613 commandments. That's right, you heard me right. 613. They're called mitzvot, and they cover everything from Sabbath to not mixing materials to not eating pork. Okay, so they cover a whole gamut of lifestyle, way of life for Jewish practitioners. Now let's get to ultimate purpose. Ultimate purpose is a little bit different in Judaism in that there is more than one answer. Depending upon the Jewish practitioner, they may have a particular perspective on where one goes at the end of life. And it could be anything from nothingness to some form of the afterlife to reincarnation. And if you go to the summary section of your book, they actually do a really good job of explaining this. So I encourage you to go back and reread the summary and review the vocabulary. There are three main branches of Judaism. They are Orthodox Judaism, Conservative Judaism, and Reform Judaism. You will also see the branches of Hasidic or Hasidism and Reconstructionist Judaism, but the main branches observed in the United States are, sorry, the cat's not going to stop. Stop, silly, are Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform. Welcome to Teaching from Home. All right, so let me go back and talk about holy days, because what's cool about Judaism is that there's literally a holy day every week, and it's called Sabbath, all right? So Sabbath occurs every Saturday of the week. Now, if you are Christian or you're familiar with Christian practices, you know that Christianity's Sabbath is typically on Sunday, but in Judaism, Sabbath is Saturday. So I want to read a little bit from For Sabbath's Sake, and you can find this book online if you're interested in it. So this is a quote from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who calls Judaism's Sabbath the palace in time. For Rabbi Heschel, both historically and in today's 24/7 culture, time is the ultimate form of wealth in human society. Time is humanity's most valuable, non-renewable resource. So reclaiming 24 hours of time per week rebels against the dominant culture of production and consumption. So Sabbath is the idea that one steps away from one's work in order to rest and be in community and study scripture. So there's actually a holy day every week in Judaism, and that holy day is Sabbath. Now, what's really cool about this particular week is that beginning tomorrow, Wednesday, April 8th, is Pesach or Passover. So Passover, I'm reading from For Sabbath's Sake again. Passover commemorates God's deliverance of the enslaved Israelites from Egypt. The Haggadah, which is a text used in Passover, is a read-along liturgy that recounts the story of Pesach, Passover, including how it came to be that God convinced Pharaoh to let the people go. The Passover Seder begins with an auspicious declaration that this day is not like any other. And it's the idea in Pesach or Passover that God delivered the people of Israel out of Egypt. And so it's a commemoration of the freedom from enslavement. So it's a very important holy day, and it's actually coming up this week. So I'm going to put up a link to an article for you to read about Passover in amid the pandemic and how it's changing. And so, for instance, on Wednesday night, instead of attending a physical Seder, which I typically do most years, I will be attending a virtual Seder. So as you all know, I have many interfaith friends, including Dr. Breton, who is coming to our course this year until we needed to move online. And Dr. Breton is hosting a virtual Seder. And so what we will do is we will gather online and we will go through the Pesach, Passover liturgy, and we'll do what we typically do in person, but we'll just be doing it virtually. So that's kind of neat to think about creative ways that people can still gather amid quarantine and stay-at-home orders. So that's an example, going all the way back to chapter 1, of religion and modernity, right? You remember that. So modernization. How do religions have to adapt based on circumstances? So that's just a little bit about Judaism. There's so much more. And like I said, I can add videos this week if you'd like. I just don't want to bore you. Because I just miss you. I miss seeing you so much in class, and so I hope this isn't too boring or anything. Leave a comment, send me an email, let me know your feedback on these lecture summaries, and we can do more. We can go more in depth. You know, it depends on whether or not you find them useful, okay? But for right now, Truffle Hunter and I say bye for now. We love you guys and enjoy your reading on Judaism. See you soon.